She stepped into the marble lobby like a shadow no one cared to notice, the torn sandal, a faded shawl, and in seconds, the whispers began. Wrong place. She can't afford water here. They snickered, pushed her card back, and treated her like she was dirt under their shoes. But what none of them knew was that the woman they were humiliating owned every chandelier above their heads, every floor beneath their feet, and every paycheck they ever received. Tonight, she wouldn't expose her power. She would reveal their humanity, or lack of it. Midnight at the Sterling Grand Chicago was usually quiet. Soft piano music, golden chandeliers, the kind of silence only the wealthy could afford. But when Maya Richardson pushed open the glass doors, that silence cracked like thin ice. Her sandals were worn. Her canvas bag looked like it had survived a storm. And her clothes, simple, practical, nothing luxury about them, made Derek at the front desk raise an eyebrow before he even spoke. Patricia, the lobby supervisor, gave a slow, judgmental scan. From Maya's hair to her shoes. "Oh, great," she muttered loudly enough for guests to hear. "Another wanderer who thinks this is a shelter." Derek chuckled. "Ma'am, this is a five-star property. Guess like you don't usually walk in with that look." Maya didn't react. She simply placed her sleek black Centurion card, the kind most employees would never even see, on the counter. Patricia picked it up with 2 fingers like it was contaminated. Then crack, she snapped it against the desk and smirked when it bent. "This is fake," she declared. "Fraud is a crime. Should I call security, Derek? Or police?" A couple nearby gasped. Another whispered, "This is messed up. She didn't even do anything." Someone else quietly raised their phone. Instagram live, capturing everything. But Maya remained still, breathing slowly. Her phone vibrated in her hand. Tokyo boardroom, 6 minutes. Her global directors were waiting. She couldn't afford anger. "Not now," she whispered to herself. "Don't lose control. Not yet." Patricia leaned in, voice dripping with superiority. "You're not staying here. Leave before this gets ugly." Maya finally looked up, her eyes calm. Too calm, because beneath that silence was a storm, but a storm the Sterling Grand had no idea was coming. The lobby of the Sterling Grand Chicago had seen midnight proposals, celebrity meltdowns, and billion-dollar business deals, but had never seen what was happening now. At first. Only a few guests turned their heads toward Patricia's harsh tone. But the camera on Instagram Live kept rolling, quiet, steady, ruthless. A woman in yoga pants whispered to her husband, "Are they serious? That's so unprofessional." Derek didn't notice any of it. He was too focused on his own performance. He leaned over the counter, practically sneering, "Ma'am, you can't fool us with a fake Centurion card. This is a highly secure property." A notification pinged on the girl recording the live stream. 142 viewers. Comments exploded across her screen. "This is discrimination. Who treats people like this in 2025? She didn't even raise her voice. Tag the Sterling Grand corporate account now." The girl's eyebrows went up. The internet had scented blood. A voice breaks through the noise before Patricia could grab the phone from Maya's hand. A strong, steady voice cut through the tension. "That's enough." Everyone turned. A businessman. Late 50s, sharp suit, silver tie pin, the kind of man who'd seen 1,000 hotel lobbies, stepped forward. He looked like someone who understood power, money, and more importantly, decency. He pointed at Derek. "I've been watching you insult this woman for 10 minutes. You refuse to check her reservation. You break her card, and you accuse her of fraud without proof. This isn't protocol. This is discrimination." Patricia stiffened. "Oh, sir, with all due respect." "No," he cut in firmly. "You don't get to disrespect someone and call it policy." Guests murmured. Some nodded. Phones lifted higher. Maya stood there, still quiet, still composed, but her eyes softened for a moment. The stranger had stepped between her and humiliation. The businessman turned to her. "Ma'am, if you need anything, I'm right here." And that simple sentence, spoken without knowing her name, her title, her power, hit Maya harder than Patricia's cruelty. Security notices something. Off Marcus, the night security officer, had been watching all of this unfold from a few feet away. Unlike Patricia and Derek, he wasn't arrogant. He'd been working at the Sterling Grand for 6 years, and he knew the vibe of wealthy guests, even the ones who hid it under plain clothes. Maya didn't flinch. She didn't yell. She didn't crumble. She acted like someone who had absolutely nothing to prove that he stepped closer. "Miss, are you okay?" His voice was respectful, careful. Patricia jumped in before Maya could answer. "She's fine. And she's leaving. We're not letting her scam the system." Marcus frowned. "Scam? Did you run her card? Check her ID? Reservation? Anything?" Derek looked trapped. "We don't have to run anything when it's obviously fake." Marcus stared long and hard at Maya's calm expression, at the expensive phone she held, at the perfectly timed notification flashes, and at the Centurion card now bent on the counter. Something didn't add up. Corporate wakes up, then Patricia made the worst decision of her night. She reached for the computer and began typing rapidly. "I'm canceling her reservation." Maya's eyes finally snapped up. Patricia smirked. "Oh, did that get your attention?" "Yes. The penthouse, the one you supposedly booked? Canceled. No scammers in this hotel." Marcus blinked. "The penthouse? For tonight?" Derek snorted. "Yeah, as if she could afford it." But before Patricia could hit confirm cancellation, the hotel's front desk computer pinged loudly that a corporate message flashed across the screen that urgent alert. Social media discrimination complaint trending. Sterling Grand Chicago flagged. Immediate risk to brand reputation. Verify incident. No cancellations without gym approval. Patricia's face lost color. Derek swallowed hard. Marcus leaned in. "Patricia, did you see that?" She slammed the laptop shut. "Corporate doesn't know what's happening on the ground. I'm handling it." Another notification blasted through the lobby. This time from the recording guest phone. "Live stream for 1,800 viewers." Hashtag Sterling Grand trending. The businessman let out a low whistle. "You two just put your entire hotel on the internet. Good luck with that." The crowd begins to turn. The tension in the lobby shifted. Guests who would have normally ignored everything were now choosing sides as a young couple approached Maya. "Ma'am, we saw everything. You didn't deserve that." An older woman whispered. "Do you want me to call the manager for you?" A teenager muttered loudly. "This is why people hate fancy hotels." And through it all, Maya stayed still. Her phone buzzed again. Tokyo boardroom. 1 minute. She closed her eyes, breathed deeply. She couldn't erupt. She had a global conference call to lead. She needed to end this humiliation. Fast. Maya finally speaks. She opened her eyes and looked straight at Patricia. Her voice was calm, but carried a new weight, a quiet authority that couldn't be mocked. "Patricia, what exactly makes you think I don't belong here?" Patricia scoffed. "Your clothes. Your shoes. Your card. Everything." Maya nodded slowly. "Interesting." She tapped her phone. A video screen opened. Her Tokyo team waited. Suits, skyscraper windows behind them, the kind of board that made billionaires look small. "Maya-san, good evening," the chairman said on speaker. "We are ready to begin." Every guest froze. Marcus's eyes widened. Derek's jaw dropped. Patricia blinked rapidly, finally sensing the ground collapse beneath her. Maya lifted the phone to her ear and said one sentence that made every heartbeat in the lobby go still. "Give me 2 minutes. My staff is having trouble checking me into my own hotel." Gasps, whispers. A stunned silence. And for the first time since she walked in, Patricia finally understood who she was talking to. For a moment, the entire Sterling Grand Chicago lobby felt like it had stopped breathing. Patricia's hand hovered above the keyboard, inches away from canceling the penthouse reservation. Derek's smirk had slipped into something tighter, more brittle. Marcus stood completely still, like a man bracing for an earthquake he could feel before anyone else. And Maya was simply calm. Too calm. The kind of calm that comes from knowing a truth so large, so heavy, that the entire room is seconds away from collapsing under it. The document that ends the game. She reached into her worn canvas bag. The same bag Patricia had mocked, the same one Derek had called cheap, and pulled out a single folder. Plain. Unstamped. Unimpressive. But inside it was a document that held more power than anything in the room. Maya flipped it open gently and laid it on the counter between Derek and Patricia. The businessman beside her leaned forward and his breath caught. The Sterling Hotel Group. Acquisition. AT&T final. Purchase price $847,000,000, not 8,000, not $8,847,000,000. There, under the gold emboss header, was her signature, clear, precise, unmistakable. Below it, Maya Richardson, Chief Executive Officer, Majority Shareholder, 71% governing owner. 847 hotels worldwide. Derek's eyes widened so violently, it looked painful. Patricia took a full step back, her heels skidding against the marble. The businessman straightened, eyes shining with disbelief. She bought the entire chain, he whispered. The live stream chat exploded. In no freaking way. She owns the hotel. They discriminated against the owner. Loudly crying face, loudly crying face, loudly crying face. This is wild. Someone call CNN. Views skyrocketed 0.7, 209,000, 812,041 watching live. People around the world were now watching two undertrained hotel staff sink into the deepest pit of their careers. The Centurion card that was fake. Maya wasn't done. She reached for her bent Centurion card, now slightly cracked from Patricia pressing it against the desk like garbage, and lifted it between two fingers. This card, Maya said softly, has cleared more transactions than you earn in a decade. Derek swallowed hard. And the fact that you broke it without checking the system tells me exactly how you treat people who don't fit your idea of wealth. Patricia whispered, I didn't know. Maya held up a hand. You didn't want to know? Her voice held no anger, just an exhausted disappointment that cut deeper than shouting ever could. The moment everything shifts, Marcus finally stepped forward. Ms. Richardson, he said carefully, ma'am, I had a feeling you weren't a regular guest, but I didn't know it was this. Maya smiled, just faintly. You treated me with respect even when you didn't know who I was. That says more about you than any title ever could. Marcus bowed his head slightly, humbled. Patricia, meanwhile, was unraveling. Her hands shook. Her face had gone ghost white. Ms. Richardson, I didn't mean. You meant every word, Maya replied calmly. And that's the problem. Corporate joins the show as if the universe wanted to underline the moment. Derek's computer pinged again, then a notification flashed across the dark screen. Corporate priority message urgent. Viral discrimination incident at Sterling Grand Chicago. Owner has requested immediate verification. The GM and regional director en route. Derek read it. His knees buckled slightly. Patricia reached for the monitor to hide it, but Maya gently turned it back toward her. Don't hide, she said. Own what you did. Livestream viewers commented again. HR is going to have a field day. Patricia is done. Bro, this is career-ending stuff. View count. 15,800 live. The world was watching the collapse of arrogance in real time. The line that breaks the lobby. Maya finally took a breath. She looked at Patricia, then at Derek, then at every guest watching from behind phones, behind fear, behind curiosity, and with the calmness of someone who had carried this weight for years, she said, I told you who I was. You decided I didn't look like someone who belongs. The sentence dropped into the room like a stone thrown into deep water. Ripples grew and grew and grew. Nobody moved. Nobody spoke. The only sound was the low hum of the hotel fountain and the distant ticking of the giant lobby clock. Patricia covered her mouth with trembling fingers. Derek blinked rapidly, eyes wet, breath unsteady. Maya continued, You didn't deny me service because of a policy. You denied me because of my shoes at my clothes.my skin. Because you believe that wealth looks a certain way, talks a certain way, dresses a certain way. She stepped closer, her voice now softer, almost sad. But more importantly, you believe that kindness should only be given to people you approve of. A whisper spread across the lobby like wind. She's right. A shift in power, visible and irreversible. Marcus stood beside Maya now, as if instinctively recognizing where the line of right and wrong had been drawn. The businessman crossed his arms, nodding with fierce approval. Guests looked at Maya not with fear, but with admiration, because she wasn't humiliating them. She wasn't shouting. She wasn't flexing her power. She was teaching them, with grace sharper than any weapon. The ending of an era. Patricia tried to speak again, voice cracking. Ms. Richardson, Please don't fire me. I made a mistake. Maya paused. Her eyes softened. Not forgiving, not yet, but human. This lobby wasn't the problem, she said quietly. It was a mirror. And tonight, it showed you who you are when no one is watching. She let the words settle, but the whole world was watching. She glanced toward the live stream camera. The girl recording nodded gently to IT kept rolling. View count, 18,300 live. The turning point is complete, and as Patricia lowered her gaze as Derek hunched his shoulders, defeated, as every guest reconsidered every assumption they'd ever made about appearances, Maya reached in her bag, took out her phone, and said to her Tokyo board, "Sorry for the delay, that I was just being reminded how important it is to lead with humanity." And with that, the lobby finally exhaled. The reveal was complete. Nothing in the sterling Grand Chicago would ever be the same. The lobby felt different now. The air was heavier, sharper, like everyone could sense there was no going back for what had just happened. Maya Richardson stood in the center of the room, no longer the quiet woman in worn sandals. Now she was exactly who she had always been, a leader who carried both power and compassion in equal weight. She closed the folder with the acquisition papers and replaced it with another, thicker, darker, heavier. Patricia's breath quickened. Derek felt sweat gathering on his temples. Marcus straightened, prepared for whatever truth was coming next. Maya laid the folder flat on the marble counter and opened it slowly. "Let's talk about the real problem." Her voice wasn't cold. IT wasn't angry. IT was simply honest. Inside the folder were dozens of papers, printed complaints, screenshots, emails. Maya pulled the first page and read aloud, not raising her voice even a little. 47 discrimination complaints filed at this location in the past 11 months. Patricia's knees wobbled. Derek's lips parted slightly, as if he'd forgotten how to breathe. Maya continued flipping. 23 complaints against Derek, ranging from racial profiling, card refusal, false accusations, degrading language toward guests. Derek's shoulders collapsed inward. He wasn't defensive anymore. He looked like a man finally seeing the wreckage he'd created. Maya turned another page, and 19 complaints against Patricia, most of them for verbal humiliation, invalidating reservations, and threatening to call the police on guests who didn't look wealthy. Patricia covered her mouth, tears filling her eyes before she could blink them away. Maya lowered the pages. "And do you know what all of this costs a company, Patricia?" She didn't wait for an answer. Millions in lawsuits, in settlements, in reputation damage. The live stream now sat at 22,000 watching live, but Maya wasn't performing. She was confronting truth. Point 3 choices. 1. Future. She placed the documents down, looked at Derek first, then Patricia, and said clearly, "You both have 3 choices." The entire lobby leaned in. Even the fountain seemed quieter. Maya raised one finger. 1. Resign quietly. Tonight, no public scandal. No lawsuit. You walk away with whatever dignity you have left. She lifted a second finger. 2. Be fired. Effective immediately. For discrimination. Your termination will be documented, filed, and publicly reportable. Then the third finger, the one that made Patricia tremble violently. 3. Face a full, external public investigation. Every complaint, every recording, every witness reviewed. Exposed. Press covered. A whisper echoed across the room. "Oh my God." Marcus stared at Maya with awe. Sarah, the young front desk trainee who had been silent till now, pressed her hand to her chest, shaking. Maya didn't raise her voice. She didn't threaten. She simply laid down the truth, because sometimes truth itself was the loudest punishment. Derek breaks first. Derek swallowed hard. His eyes flicked to the papers, then to the live streaming phones, then to Maya. His voice cracked. "I resign," he whispered. I'm sorry. I really am. I shouldn't have." He couldn't finish. His throat closed. He grabbed his badge, set it on the counter, and stepped back, shaking so badly his hands twitched. Maya nodded once. "Take responsibility. Learn. Don't repeat this anywhere else." Derek wiped his eyes and walked toward the exit. Slow, defeated, humbled, Patricia collapses. For Patricia, the collapse was physical. Her legs buckled and she sank onto the velvet lobby chair, sobbing into her hands. I didn't know I was hurting people, she choked out. I thought I was enforcing standards. I thought, I thought I was protecting the hotel. Maya walked toward her, not with anger, but with the heavy ache of someone who understood a deeper pain. Standards without empathy become cruelty, Maya said softly. And you crossed that line too many times. Patricia cried harder, her voice trembling. I'm so sorry. Maya let her cry. Sometimes breaking was the first step to rebuilding. When Patricia finally lifted her face, swollen and red, she whispered, I'll resign. I deserve to. Maya nodded gently, not triumphant, just resolved. Then came Sarah, the trainee who had stood frozen behind Patricia during the chaos. Took a sudden step forward. Her voice shook, but she forced herself to speak. Ms. Richardson, I didn't do what they did, but I also didn't stop it. Tears filled her eyes. I was scared. I'm new. I didn't want to lose my job. But I could have said something. And I didn't. Maya turned to her fully. This wasn't the trembling fear of someone trying to escape punishment. This was accountability. Real, raw, human. What do you want to do now, Sarah? Maya asked. Sarah inhaled shakily. I want to learn, she said. I want to be better. I want to treat guests the right way, even when nobody's watching. Maya smiled softly, a real smile. That's the answer I was hoping for. Sarah broke into quiet tears of relief. Marcus steps forward with purpose. Then Marcus moved, he didn't hesitate. He didn't stutter. He stood beside Maya, not like a servant, but like a man taking responsibility for the future of something larger than himself. Ms. Richardson, he said firmly, if you allow it, I'd like to help you fix this entire hotel. Maya's brows lifted slightly. How? She asked. Marcus stood straighter. I know every staff member, every shift, every issue that gets ignored. I know who treats guests well and who doesn't. I can help you rebuild the culture from the ground up. Maya looked at him for a long moment, really looked, and saw exactly what she had seen when he first approached her with genuine concern. Not power, not fear, not ego, heart. Marcus, she said softly, I need people like you. His eyes glistened. IT was the first time he'd been appreciated in years. And the beginning of something bigger. Maya stepped back, inhaled, and addressed the entire lobby, guests, staff, the live stream audience, everyone. Tonight wasn't about who I am, she said. It was about who we choose to be when someone we think is less stands in front of us. She looked around the room. This hotel will not survive on chandeliers or marble floors or five-star menus. Her voice grew stronger, beautiful, commanding. It will survive on dignity, on humanity, on how we treat the people who trust us with their stay, their comfort, their safety. She opened her phone and tapped a file. The new initiative, months of planning, was ready. Starting tonight, she announced, I'm launching the Guest Dignity Initiative across all 847 hotels. Gasps, whispers, widening eyes. This will include mandatory empathy training, anti-discrimination audits, a new guest protection line, and direct accountability for every manager. She paused. And Marcus will be the first member of the new Internal Leadership Council. Marcus nearly stepped back in shock. Guests clapped, quiet at first, then louder. Even Sarah smiled through tears, and the live stream shot up. 400 live viewers. The climax ends with transformation, not destruction, as Patricia was escorted to HR to sign her resignation, as Derek walked into the night with shame, but also a chance at growth as Sarah steadied her breath, ready to learn. As Marcus stood taller than ever, Maya felt something inside her chest warm. Not pride, not victory, hope, because humiliation hadn't changed this hotel. Humanity had. And this was just the beginning. 3 months later, the Sterling Grand Chicago did not look like the same hotel. The IT didn't feel like the same hotel. The lobby that once echoed with judgment and whispers now carried something new. Warm smiles. Humanity, a kind of gentle pride that can only come from people who have chosen to grow. The transformation wasn't loud. IT wasn't in press releases or flashy marketing. IT lived in the small moments. Doors held open, Guests greeted with genuine warmth. Mistakes handled with compassion instead of ego. And it all began with one night, one woman, one truth spoken without raising her voice. The numbers tell the story. The first official report came in at the end of the quarter. Zero discrimination complaints, revenue up 34%, staff surveys at the highest satisfaction levels in a decade, not because Maya scared people into behaving, but because she showed them who they could be. Empathy, it turned out, was profitable. Respect had a return on investment. Dignity was good business. Sarah's new beginning. Sarah, the trainee who once stood frozen and afraid to speak, had changed more than anyone expected. She worked harder, listened deeper, learned faster. Not out of fear, but out of passion. And now, she stood behind the reception desk wearing a new badge. Sarah, front desk supervisor, the first thing she did with her promotion was hold a short meeting and say, "We will treat every guest like they're Maya Richardson walking in during a storm. Don't wait to know their story to know their worth." Her voice shook slightly, still soft, still gentle, but her conviction was iron. The staff applauded her. She blushed. Maya, watching from a distance, smiled like a proud mentor. Marcus steps into leadership. Marcus, the man who had sensed something was wrong before anyone else, had risen just as Maya expected he would. He now wore a sleek gray suit and a nameplate that read, Guest Relations Manager. Marcus Carter. He moved through the lobby with quiet confidence, checking in on guests, solving problems before they even formed, coaching younger staff with patience. Guests loved him. Employees respected him. Maya trusted him. He became the soul of the new Sterling Grand. Firm, fair, kind. One afternoon, as he guided an elderly couple to the elevator, Maya caught his eye from across the lobby. He nodded once, a silent promise. "We won't go backward. Not on my watch." The plaque that changed everything at the center of the lobby wall, right where Patricia once humiliated guests, now hung a bronze plaque. Elegant, simple, unshakably clear. Every guest deserves dignity. Maya Richardson's staff touched it for luck. Guests photographed it. Children traced the letters with their fingers. That IT wasn't just IT was the heart of the entire hotel. That a vow carved in metal. Harvard Notices words spread across the world. The viral live stream turned into headlines. The reforms turned into a global model. Harvard Business School requested materials. Then they visited. Then they wrote a full case study. The Richardson Reform. How one woman rebuilt a global hotel empire through humanity. Maya laughed when she read the title. Humanity shouldn't be innovative, she said. It should be normal. Maya's final message on a quiet Sunday morning. Maya walked into a small recording room overlooking Lake Michigan in a makeup, in a luxury outfit. Just herself, she turned on the camera and spoke to the world. The same world that once watched her humiliation live. Her voice was soft, steady, warm. 3 months ago, I walked into a hotel as a stranger, and I learned how quickly people decide your worth based on what they can see. She paused, letting the moment breathe. But your value isn't in your clothes, not in your card, not in your accent, or your job, or your past. She leaned in slightly. Your story matters. Your dignity is non-negotiable. Never let anyone treat you like you don't belong. She ended the recording. The camera light faded. But the message that stayed burning across the world. And the Sterling Grand Chicago kept glowing. No longer the hotel that judged a woman by her sandals, but the hotel that learned its greatest luxury was humanity. As Maya steps out of the lobby one last time, the evening sun reflects off the golden plaque she installed, a reminder to the world that dignity is not a privilege, but a right. The staff watches her leave, not as a CEO, not as the owner, but as the woman who changed their lives forever. Sarah wipes a tear, whispering, "She didn't just change the hotel, she changed us." Marcus straightens his new badge, Guest Relations Manager, a symbol of how one moment of courage can rewrite an entire future. Guests walk freely, warmly welcomed, treated with respect, and no one ever wonders again who belongs. Because now everyone does. As Maya gets in her car, her phone buzzes, a flood of messages, stories, gratitude from people around the world inspired by her reforms. She smiles softly and records a final line. Dignity is the story we write together. And this was only the beginning. Fade out. The screen glows with quiet hope, because when one person chooses dignity, the whole world becomes kinder.